space. So I thank you for allowing for the coziness. I thank you for caring enough about your national parks to step up and be here with us this evening. And with that, I would like to invite Karen Taylor-Goodrich, Superintendent of North Cascades National Park, to come on up. Go get 'em.
I just need to take a deep breath and take stock of all the wonderful people that are here. This really is an amazing crowd. Well, 500 plus. This is my fourth opportunity to go to an event like this with Lori and all of this wonderful board, and I really appreciate your kind introduction. Lori, thanks so much. And I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. But first of all, I'd like to just take a couple minutes, and I'm really thankful for being able to see Herb again up there. He captured at least my sentiments about what we do so well. But I'd like to just, number one, wish again Washington's National Park Fund happy birthday, 25th birthday. And I'd also like to have all of the board members that are here tonight, I think there's at least 23 that are all here tonight, if you wouldn't mind standing for just a minute and being recognized. And I know that I speak for not only myself, but all of my NPS colleagues here tonight, and just thanking all of the board members for, all about the parks approach to what you do and being so passionate about helping with fundraising for the parks. So I have some prepared remarks, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm actually here to represent the National Park Service, as you could tell from this very snappy uniform here. But I've also had the good fortune of being the superintendent at North Cascades 5 years now this month. And tonight I'm representing our amazing workforce across the country, those that care for these special places called your national parks every day. But I'm also here to celebrate our 50th birthday, our meaning North Cascades National Park Service Complex. As you probably may know, it was established in 1968 through an act of Congress. And that's pretty young in relative terms to many national parks that we know of, over a century years old, and certainly the National Park Service is over a century years old. So we're still pretty young, if you think about it. I like to call our park, it's a complex, but I like to call it a complex because it really is a complex place to work. It includes over 680,000 acres of public lands. They're broken up into 3 distinct units of the National Park System, and they're administratively called a complex. So there's the North Cascades National Park. There's also Ross Lake and Lake Chelan National Recreation Areas. And then adding to that complexity is an international border, our border with Canada, British Columbia, the Skagit Hydroelectric Project, the remote community of Stehekin, and then one of my favorite areas, of course, and wilderness is one of my passions, is the Stephen Mather Wilderness, which encompasses over 94% of the park and serves as a world-class destination for wilderness enthusiasts from around the world. And I'm hoping that this is everyone, that those of you that have either hiked or climbed or biked or gone across some glaciers or even strolled along a stream, you know the beauty of our incredibly rugged peaks, our clear lakes, the hundreds of glaciers, and of course our hundreds of incredible cascades. You may also know, remember I'm representing the National Park Service tonight also, you know the mission of the National Park Service describes our common responsibility to protect special places like the North Cascades and many of the parks around the Pacific Northwest and the other 2 that my colleagues represent tonight, Mount Rainier and Olympic. Some of the most beautiful and crucial ecosystems with native species, plants, and animals, and telling the stories of our most important human history. So oftentimes people ask me, so why have you been at it so long, the decades of a career? Well, I often think about, so what does it take to fulfill this mission, to protect and preserve and choose this work that we do collectively, protecting our natural and cultural resources, but also the values that they represent. So when do you think the first time a national park idea was proposed for the North Cascades? Any guesses out there? Any historians that might have already done that? I know, Lauren, where are you? You probably already know this, of course. Okay, I have a 1932. Well, it was actually 1892. So can you believe that? It took over 75 years to realize that dream. If we were born in 1968, and we're 50 years old now, and of course at that time, certainly, just like now, there are competing interests, lots of different opinions on what a park should be, or even if we should have a park, and certainly politics at play about even creating a park. But just to name a few, if you're thinking about the dedicated group of the Washington citizens, really is a state-led initiative who first issued the proposal to the Canadian Board of Artists, and you might remember Julian Itter's proposal in 1906, or at least I don't remember that, but you might have read about it, to the Spokane Chamber of Commerce's promotional campaign in 1916, which is the year the National Park Service was established. They all wanted to preserve this special place called the North Cascades. And back in 1937, Major Owen Tomlinson, superintendent of Mount Rainier National Park at the time, and his team recommended that the entire Cascade Range be established as a national park, which would about 5,000 acres, which is a really big idea any time in history. And really, the dream wasn't truly realized until about the 1950s. It started to take shape with David Brower with the Sierra Club, Howard Zonheiser, George Marshall of the Wilderness Society, Harvey Manning, these are wonderful founder names, Laura and Phil Zaleski of the Seattle Mountaineers, Chuck Hesse, and Polly Dyer with the North Cascades Conservation Council, and many others who worked tirelessly for over 10 years to protect this area that they loved. To make it all happen, we had two important legislators in Congress, Senators Scoop Jackson and Warren Magnuson, pushed through the legislation needed for establishing the park. So through the ups and downs of all of those years of hard work and dreaming of this place of protected national park systems area, setbacks, defeats, today we're grateful there for all of their hard work and their dedication and the foresight to make all this happen. So another question I get, and maybe we ask ourselves, is why do people invest so much in themselves to protect these special public lands? Oftentimes they make a, and this is certainly I know from personal experience, make a deep connection with the landscape while you're in the landscape, experiences that maybe you all have had in the North Cascades or Olympics or Mount Rainier or some other parks in our incredible country or protected areas around the world. For example, in 1899, William Steele described Portland Mazama's club's climb up Mount Sahalee. He said, each moment we were more and more enraptured by the scene. Each moment more helpless to express the deep emotion in our hearts. And I was thinking about what Herb said. That really captured that as well. So perhaps many of you have had similar kinds of experiences, transformative times that keep you connected to the landscape and the processes that are natural, the cultural stories. The thing really about stewardship is that it really isn't a destination. It's a journey. I've been at this for a number of decades now, but it never truly ends. And for me, it's a calling, and for many, it's a calling. And many of you, it's a calling, is working hard through stewardship of our public lands and natural and cultural resources. But Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite quotes from Teddy was, far and away, the best prize life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Stewardship of our public lands takes an amazing amount of work, passion, perseverance, and really I think of myself as a National Park Service elder now. I feel not only a professional obligation and responsibility to protect the areas that we've all set aside as America's best idea, but I also have an obligation to protect areas around the world. I see this. My obligation is not only professional, but it's a moral obligation to leave these places in good hands as our legacy. So to the many dedicated staff, many of that are here tonight, and thank you, Lori, for recognizing us and having everyone stand up. That means a lot that everyone would show your appreciation like you do, and it's not everyone gets a chance to come and really be a part of these events, and so it's really special for us to hear that appreciation, but also talk to you all and hear what you're thinking about the parks and listen to your questions and your experiences there. But we also have many scientists and volunteers and partner organizations, just like Washington's National Park Fund and other individuals and groups that each do their part to protect and preserve not just the North Cascades or the parks in the Pacific Northwest, but also contribute to the network of protected areas around the globe. I believe it's our collective passion for this work that strengthens and supports the protection and enjoyment of these places for generations to come. So how does a movement like this happen? It takes inspired generosity. We've all been there. We've all experienced generosity, be it from your parents or teachers or mentors or complete strangers that maybe made a difference or done something special for you in your lives in a positive way. But those that worked so hard to establish the North Cascades complex were inspired to dedicate their time, resources, and energy to the protection and preservation. And we're the recipients today of all of that inspired generosity. So as we reflect on the labors of those dedicated founders, let's look at where we are today. How can we commit to stewardship? And by bringing the youth along in stewardship, understanding and activities and experiences. Preservation of our national parks and public lands is up to all of us now to prepare our next generation to be those stewards. Your support, whatever that means, by whatever means you have, as a volunteer, and you saw that Herb was a wonderful volunteer, and many of you volunteer in the national parks, or being a donor, or even in your career path, like many of us, is not only appreciated today, but it's the legacy that we can leave in this generation. But for tonight, I know I'm kind of standing between you all and the auction. But now let's go back for just a few minutes, and I want to take this opportunity to wish North Cascades a happy birthday with the help of our friend, the writer Ed Abbey. May your trails be crooked, winding, lonesome, and dangerous, leading to the most amazing view. May your mountains rise into and above the clouds. So let's raise a toast, please, to the North Cascades. I don't have anything to drink here, but later maybe. And then thank you all again for being here tonight and sharing this special time with us and doing all you can to protect and support the national parks. Thank you. Did it go okay? How'd I do, Ma?